The Disney dominoes are beginning to fall. The company is in one of its worst quarters in modern history for the mouse. And just as predicted, yes, there are people leaving left and right like rats jumping off a ship. This thing is going down, and it's going down fast, and this time it's the DEI department that takes a hit. You are definitely going to want to know who it is that's leaving, and we're here to tell you why. The real news here is being missed by many of the channels out there, although we love them all. The real news is what this means for Disney, what it means for some of the executives and studio leads, the higher ups, and specifically Kathleen Kennedy, as we move forward into a new transitory era. The first thing we need to concentrate on is Kevin Lansberry, and this is being missed by and large throughout the blogosphere, throughout YouTube, throughout all of the media articles that are being written. We need to focus on Kevin Lansberry, and that's what we're here to do. Taking on this role as a transitory CFO, that means he is there temporarily. Signals to me that perhaps this is his swan song at the company. And if so, a transitional CFO with nothing to lose and 30 years of loyalty at the company is just the kind of person you need when you're coming in to make the heads roll. All right, folks, welcome back to another fantastic video here on the WDW Pro channel. What a joy to share our time with you today. And yes, just as you saw in the clip, we are talking about someone big leaving the Walt Disney Company, someone big indeed, and someone who has been over one of the most contentious and divisive pieces of the company that you have ever seen. Joining me to talk about this amazing breaking story that we have out of Disney, we have Jonas J. Campbell, investigative reporter of ThatParkPlace.com, the Script Doctor, and for the very first time on the channel, we have Jeff of World Class BSers. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
All right, let's dive right in, starting out with this article out of Deadline. As we do, folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. From Deadline by Patrick Hypes, Disney Chief Diversity Officer Latondra Newton to exit company. Now, way back when this channel first started, we were talking about this lady. She is the woman who is behind Reimagine Tomorrow. That is the initiative behind Disney that has been pushing them to do all kinds of wacky, crazy stuff, like telling their cast members in the parks that they can no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, because that's gendered language. Crazy stuff like putting all kinds of content in their children's programming, stuff that Jonas ends up covering when he does Everything Woke About. And yes, this is the same lady who is largely behind stuff like The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, when they have elementary school kids depicted as going up against police officers and depicting the police officers as terrible, horrible people. This is that lady. And here is what the article says. Ton Newton, that's what she goes by, who has served as Disney's Chief Diversity Officer since 2017, an iger hire, by the way, is leaving the company. An internal memo from Disney Chief Human Resources Officer Sonia Coleman announcing Newton's departure was circulated to staff Tuesday. Coleman wrote that Newton decided to leave the Walt Disney Company to pursue other endeavors. We hear that she plans to join a corporate board and focus on a creative company she owns. Pause, stop, folks. Let me tell you about the creative company that Miss Newton owns. Gentlemen, you want to take a guess on what kind of creative company she might run? Anybody? Come on, just
I'm guessing it has a few initials to it.
Well, it could, maybe. Anybody think maybe she's making some potpourri? Maybe she's going the Martha Stewart route? Maybe she's doing some craft-like art on the walls?
Maybe she's into race car driving, like a Tokyo Grift.
Could be. She's definitely good at grifting, so I can see where you're going with that. No, this is a lady who, by the way, while she was the head of the DEI operations of the company, she was running a jewelry store, like on Etsy, sort of.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you remember this story. She was running a jewelry store.
Executive.
Yes, and people were buying these janky looking pieces of jewelry, these weird, strange pieces of jewelry. We believe, folks, we're putting that caveat there. We believe in order to curry favor with the head of DEI at Disney. And that is what she's doing.
Now,
she is
Pro,
going to
be fair,
yes.
It could have been money laundering, allegedly.
Thank you for saying allegedly. But yes, she is going to she's going to do her own version of Lisa Frank, and it's not nearly as attractive. So that's what she's up to now.
Is she literally following Newton's first? Excuse me. Let me redo that. Is she literally following Newton's first law of motion, where an object will not change its motion unless a force is acted upon it?
I believe that the force has been acted upon it. Yes, absolutely. Here's what we've got. Disney said Newton's direct reports will now report to Julie Merge's SVP Talent Acquisition, who will run the DEI operations on an interim basis while the search for Newton's replacement is underway. Now, here's what I want to talk about real quick. No, you know what? There's more to this. Let's go. Let's keep reading. We got to get to this. This is so fun. Newton's title was SVP, Chief Diversity Officer, a role in which she oversaw Disney's strategic diversity and inclusion initiatives. According to Disney's bio, she worked with various business segments and leaders across the enterprise to build on Disney's commitment to produce entertainment that reflects a global audience and sustains a welcoming and inclusive workplace for everyone. What it fails to say is that she was over Reimagine Tomorrow, the program that, when leaked by independent journalist Christopher Rufo, caused parents in mass to turn against the company. Here's the paragraph that I saw and we have to read. Her time at Disney included co-signing with Bob Iger and Bob Chapek the May 2020 memo to Disney staff in the wake of the George Floyd killing, titled Resolve in the Time of Unrest. In it, the trio. Remember, this is how big she was, folks. She was in the commitment from Iger and Chapek. No one else, not even McCarthy, was part of this. In it, the trio pledged to use our compassion, our creative ideas, and our collective sense of humanity to ensure we are fostering a culture that acknowledges our people's feelings and their pain. We also realize that now more than ever, it is the time for us to all further strengthen our commitment to diversity and inclusion everywhere. Now,
not equity.
Right, well, yeah, not at that time, of course. But yeah, this is the lady who is over what has essentially killed Disney. This is why this is such a big deal that she's leaving. She was over the program that wiped the company out. Now, I'm not saying that is gone, but whoever comes into this place, the nuttery has got to at least be diminished somewhat, surely, right? This is the lady who put in place where you can't say, you can't call a little boy in the parks. That's the level of crazy we went to. And here's the key thing out of that article, and we're going to touch on this in Bounding the Comics. I want to get your guys' opinions on this. She didn't release a statement as she left. She's not leaving a McCarthy statement. And there's no praise in the quote. And they would love to praise this woman. They would love to praise this woman. I think that she is leaving on poor terms. What do you all make of that?
I think we're talking about Newton's third law here. When two objects interact, they apply forces to each other of equal magnitude in opposite direction. So Disney's trying to push her away as far as possible. And just
Doctor, you were the only person I could possibly pull in to YouTube to do this video with me, and you would have that crafty of a quip, a pattern of quips. Now this comes in 3, so you're going to have to go back to 2 at some point, and I want to see how you work that in.
We'll see how the story progresses.
Well, if she watches this movie, if she watches this video, she's going to have a clear idea of all the rules that she's going to have to put into her new company, Newton's Rules.
Yes. You're selling those trinkets on her Etsy store.
Can I just ask here, did Bounding into Comics put Latondra Newton in the Ironheart armor here? That's very good for an article.
Yeah.
Yes, congratulations, Bounding into Comics. You win the meme contest of the day. We love it. Jeff, what do you think? There's no positive statement out of her as she exits. That's usually afforded unless you're like a Chapek, in which case you get no chance to say a good thing about yourself and about your time at the company.
Well, maybe she's finally had one of those self-aware clarity moments where she realized everything I created was terrible, and so there's nothing to actually say about that, because I, for one, am happy to see the face associated with all of these bizarre decisions, to say the least. That's the kindest way I can say it, bizarre decisions. You always wonder, who comes up with this? Well, now we know it's this woman. And what can she say? Oh, I'm so grateful that I made all these changes to a company and they're losing money left and right and I've turned away audiences. No, the best thing to do is just leave with your tail between your legs and go away quietly. So hopefully people don't remember. And you can't say anything dumber if you don't say anything else.
True that. And again, folks, we predicted that you would see huge changes inside Disney with the executives once we saw Christine McCarthy leave and once we saw who was replacing McCarthy. Now, we made a decision on this channel that we were going to focus on who was replacing her because that's where the real news was. Yes, McCarthy being gone, big deal. When the CFO leaves, that's a big deal. But it was when they brought in someone who had 30 years at Disney. That means that they can retire out of this. And they put them in there in an interim position to be the new CFO in transition. That signaled to me that they were looking for somebody who could make heads roll. And perhaps in this case, we've had an exit where they saw it coming and decided it was time to get out. Now, this is going to be a fun article. This by Spencer Bakuli from Bounding into Comics. This is fun. I have read this already, and it is wonderful. Top Disney diversity exec behind controversial Reimagine Tomorrow campaign reportedly leaves company amid financial woes. I love this already. Get ready for truth bombs. It seems there's no letting up for the storm brewing over the Magic Kingdom as amidst a number of box office failures and the recent exit of their CFO, the Walt Disney Company has now lost Chief Diversity Officer Latondra Newton. There she is, folks, Latondra Newton. We have featured her. And look at that jewelry. Stepping away from the House of Mouse after 6 years in her role. Newton's departure was first announced on June 20th, courtesy in an internal company memo. And it says the same thing that we've heard before. Now it says, I know you all join me in thanking Latondra for her many contributions, including the lasting impact she has had on our employees and our culture, continued Coleman. Working alongside all of you and so many others, she has inspired countless cast members and employees to bring about lasting change and to help create a world where we can all feel safe and we all belong. And there we have the picture of Ariel, the new preschool cartoon we believe is being influenced by Miss Ravenel. That's the lady who was also working on The Proud Family and was promoted. But here's what we've got. However, despite Newton's exit, Coleman would confirm that the company would not be shuttering their DEI department, as evident by such recent moves as renewing the social justice-focused Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, greenlighting a new animated series based on their floundering Little Mermaid remake, and allowing a drag performer to serve as the face of Disneyland's Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. That's the triple B's. But temporarily reorganizing it until a new CDO could be found. And that is a big deal that they are reorganizing it, even if temporarily. It says Latondra's direct reports will report to Julie Merges on an interim basis until a new DEI leader is identified. Then it says, to this end, Coleman ultimately concluded, thank you all for your continued contributions to our DEI efforts. I know we can count on you to keep this important work moving forward during this leadership transitions. According to an insider who spoke to Variety, Newton's post-Disney career will see her being added to the board of an as-of-yet unknown company, as well as dedicating more time to her personal creative company. Again, folks, we're talking about little trinkets, little jewelry trinkets. We are not talking about anything that, she's not going to Silicon Valley and doing anything remarkable here. It says, and we'll finish this up, having joined the company as noted by Coleman in 2017, Newton's most recognizable contribution to Disney's DEI efforts may be her development and promotion of their now infamous Reimagine Tomorrow campaign, first leaked to the public attention by an anonymous company insider to independent journalist Christopher Rufo in 2021. The still ongoing campaign seeks to educate Disney employees on such critical theory-drenched topics as systemic racism, white privilege, white fragility, white saviors, microaggressions, and everybody's favorite, anti-racism. And it's got pictures from the Reimagine Tomorrow stuff, all kinds of just beautiful things. Great, great, great job out of Bounding into Comics. All right. Now, I know that this does not end the DEI system at Disney. I know that this does not mean that suddenly Disney is going to change directions. But gentlemen, this is now 2 major C-suite level executives. These are the top of the top. Really, I mean, this lady had immense power. She had immense power at Disney. Christine McCarthy, CFO, immense power at Disney. They have both left within a week. What is going on at Disney? I'll just hand it to you. Tell me what's up. What is happening?
Well, this is Newton's second law, where her Reimagine Tomorrow was the mass, and we saw its failure as the acceleration. So that's how we get all three of Newton's laws in with her journey over at Disney. The fact that it hasn't completely failed yet, that they're holding on to it, just means that acceleration is just going to increase however many multiple times they try to replant their feet with this direction.
Folks, if you are not yet subscribed to Script Doctor, after his ability to do all three laws, listen, that should prove to you this man should be working at the highest levels of Hollywood right there. But let's go to Jeff now. Jeff, two huge executives at Disney. Are you feeling optimistic that maybe we actually are beginning to see this lumbering Titanic slowly move away from the iceberg? Yes, we're doing Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. Yes, it's going to make fans really mad. Yes, park attendance is down. Yes, they may not make a single profit off of a movie until Deadpool 3 comes out next summer. But maybe this is the beginning of change.
Wow, when you frame it like that, there's a lot to be optimistic for. Whew. I'll be completely honest. My answer is going to be the same thing as it was a moment ago. Is once the first product of this new change comes out, then I'll believe it. It's like trying to get excited for DC changes, and you're like, well, I still got to sit through Aquaman 2. That's how I feel about a lot of this. It's like, yes, I am optimistic that things can change, but they're being forced to change. It's not like the company wants to change. They really are into this kind of thing. What they need to do is find a way to salvage what they have left, because you have historically talked about companies or brands that are too big to fail, and what happens? Some of those things that are thought to be too big to fail have failed. And so here we are with the House of Mouse, the biggest entertainment conglomerate on the planet. They buy up everything left and right. Eventually, bad decisions will catch up with them. So I believe this is just a response to that before the point of no return has been passed. Things are bad. Things can get worse. But there comes a point in time where it's just too late to fix it. And I think these two executives being cut are an indicator that they realize that this ship is sinking very fast and they need to do something quickly.
Jonas, Latondra Newton is not going to another role. She's not moving up that we can tell. She may serve on some board of some company.
Well, where could she go? Where could she go that she could have more of an impact than the diversity officer of the largest, most influential entertainment company on the planet right now?
You are exactly right. She is in the absolute dream position of anybody who wants to affect change across the world in the minds of small children everywhere. It is the indoctrination capital of the world over there in Burbank. But Jonas, no, go ahead.
No, if anyone, as Pro referenced before, if anyone doesn't understand the kind of content that is in the Proud Family reboot, Louder and Prouder, go over to my channel and watch Everything Woke about Louder and Prouder. It's eye-opening, and it's straight up Marxism, and it's the weirdest, most gender deconstructive take on the African American family that I could ever imagine coming out of anyone, let alone the Walt Disney Company.
So, Jonas, what I'm curious about is I'm amazed now that two of the biggest allies that Kathleen Kennedy has are gone. And I mean that. Christine McCarthy was known to be someone who would protect Kathleen Kennedy at all costs. And now we have Latondra Newton, someone who has been fully on board, fully supportive of everything to do with these socio-political pushes inside of content, such as what we've seen with Star Wars, what we've seen with Indiana Jones, what we're going to see with Indiana Jones. And so I'm just curious, do you think that Kathleen Kennedy is in even more trouble now?
Yes, absolutely. Now that being said, who knows who will be coming in to replace Latondra Newton? Sonia Coleman, I think, is in charge of replacing Latondra Newton. If she's replaced, fingers crossed, maybe CDO goes away as a title at the Walt Disney Company, but who knows? maybe they can luck out and, they'll say, it was 3 people who had to do this job. So her duties will be split among these departments. Kathleen Kennedy, her days are kind of numbered right now anyways. It feels like the box office for Indiana Jones 5 has already been abysmal, even though that doesn't come out until a week or so from now. I can't see anything turning around to save Kathleen Kennedy right now. She has taken the most successful film franchise in the history of planet Earth and made it into something that can't even get people to watch it when they aren't charged an additional amount to flip over to that tile on Disney Plus.
Well, if there's anything we know about Newton and the laws of gravity, if you don't have a thrust behind you, the only direction you have left to go is down.
I'm amazed. This is tremendous script. We should do more science topics for you and just see how adept you are at this. It's amazing. You are far superior than ChatGPT. You have proved to me that AI has no chance against a true script doctor.
Well, thank you.
But guys, I want to wrap this conversation up simply by discussing as we end, where does this go with Reimagine Tomorrow? Do you all think that they will finally scrap the project? Of course, for those unfamiliar, we are talking about an all-encompassing effort inside the company to completely transform their content, to completely reimagine the way that they wanted to market their stuff to families. And I'm just curious, are we seeing the end of that? Will they quietly, gently kind of let that sunset and go away? Maybe name it something new, and at the same time neuter the most damaging aspects of it? What do you guys think?
I think the customer friction pushback to this will slow it down, and it will slowly dissipate over time, and it would be a very smart move for Disney to allow that to happen, because the amount of money that they would have to reinvest in this campaign is definitely not going to bring back the return.
Now, the content side of Reimagine Tomorrow is, of course, offensive, but some of the other things that have also been labeled as Reimagine Tomorrow, you mentioned the concept of neutering in there as well, and Disney has, as a company under the Reimagine Tomorrow, has agreed to help neuter the children of any employee who has a child who might like to transition. They might not use those words, but there are much more sinister things than some kids' content that have been put under the Reimagine Tomorrow label.
Absolutely. Jeff, you have been watching the slide of this company for years and years. You have been talking about it. You have been analyzing it. You have been commentating all about what's happening. Where do you see this company in 5 years? Do you think that they can actually transition in 5 years, or do you think that this is going to be a company that it takes even longer than that to flush out all of the issues that are in the pipeline? I mean, we're in a writer's strike. There's no telling when they can get back to pushing out their in-progress content.
Well, I think I have two answers for this. I think it's going to take longer than 5 years because people are people, and they're stubborn, they're ignorant, they're going to stick by something no matter how much it doesn't work, because they want to believe that their way is the right way. So I do believe it'll take longer than 5 years. But then the other thing that I don't think enough people talk about is you have to realize the damage it does to people like me who are not going to show their children Disney entertainment. I'm not going to go out and just blindly say, oh, my kids can watch anything Disney. And it's not about necessarily the politics or the ideals behind these campaigns. I just don't think they produce content worthy. I don't think they produce content that actually is worthwhile to show a younger audience, because it's just the views and beliefs of a handful of people that really don't reflect the greater issues that the best entertainment talks about, or it's just fun, forgettable stuff. Like, I would much rather show my children a Warner Brothers cartoon or things from the past that are funny and zany and memorable for good things. I don't really think posing certain types of questions in kids' entertainment works. I think it's basically the way it works with modern entertainment is writers and these people create for themselves and people in their sphere. And so you have to take into account that people won't be as forgiving to Disney as other places. You now have people in certain states getting into legal battles over showing Disney films. You have all of this embroiled stuff in Florida. Like, there's so many different things going on with Disney across the board that they may be able to fix things in 5 years and weed out all the bad eggs in the company. But bad press sticks around, and sometimes people just never forget, and sometimes they're just even less likely to forgive. So I think Disney has really caused a lot of problems, even if it's just something as basic as, well, you angered Star Wars fans by making bad entertainment, and then you find out they're embroiled with all this other weird stuff. Overall, Disney has a long road to recovery, and if you thought they had some dark ages in the 80s, well, wait till you see what comes out next.
And folks, just to summarize this, yes, very well said. But to summarize this, consider for a moment, if you're not yet aware of what a big shakeup this is. The two individuals most responsible for getting rid of Bob Chapek, Christine McCarthy, and Latondra Newton, they're gone within a week as the company suffers. Iger seems to be willing to part ways with his closest allies in order to fix this company now that he's back. It was Christine McCarthy that went to the institutional investors in order to find the power to get rid of Bob Chapek and bring back Iger. It was Latondra Newton that chopped off Chapek at the knees with the Reimagine Tomorrow videos, where he was actually put under what we have called a hostage video. Jonas, you had a thought on that?
And let's not forget Victoria Alonso, who publicly confessed to the GLAAD award crowd that she chewed out her CEO for 45 minutes in the name of her cause.
That's right. All the ones who took out Chapek have been taken out. Let that be a lesson for those of you who think that you'll get ahead inside these corporations by doing these sorts of things. Iger cares about Iger. Iger cares about Iger. All right, gentlemen, last thoughts, and then tell people where they can find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there. Let's start with Jeff.
Well, final thoughts. I pretty much don't think Disney is going to be fixed in the immediate future. There's going to be a long road to recovery, but it'll be interesting to see what else gets slashed at the House of Mouse before they can fix everything. And folks, you can find me on YouTube at the World Class Bullshitters channel. You can find me on the World Class BS Twitter, Instagram. We're on Patreon. We're all over. Just Google us, all one word, and you will find us.
And Script Doctor. Script Doctor, where can we find you? And do you have one more reference to Sir Isaac Newton today?
Well, all I can say is that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree when it comes to Disney and the decisions.
I thought we had him.
And yes, while it will take some significant time, I think Disney is probably going to be the last one hanging on and clinging on to this ideology out of all the studios right now. They've invested too much into it to let it fail, but it will happen eventually. As for where you can find me on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/ScriptDoctor, where you get reviews, advanced videos, and discounts on my screenwriting consulting packages. And you can also find some awesome content of mine over on youtube.com/ScriptDoctor.
Jonas, tell us one last thing that will blow our minds and where we can find you.
Well, Latondra Newton is not kooky. She's fruit and cake.
Well, that is
an
something.
Ancient reference to Fig
That was
Newtons.
something.
I don't know enough about Newton's laws to make a joke about them. You can find me on this channel on Thursdays 5 to 7 for the WDW Pro show, or on my channel, which I'm just going to say it now. I'm going to rename it to Everything Woke About, where we go through children's content, especially, and weed through all the weird things that are put in there to propagandize the viewers. Or you can find me, I'm an investigative reporter for thatparkplace.com.
Well, folks, we hope you like content like this. If you do, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms when you click it. We're talking about the notification bell. The Pro Show is live Thursdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And this week we have an Activision Blizzard whistleblower. who will be joining us to tell the truth about what happened. We'll also be covering everything Disney and entertainment. There are tons of things to talk about, including what is surely to be part of a video later today when we talk about Samuel L. Jackson and Brie Larson and the insanity of an interview that happened. You do not want to miss that. Folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Make sure to catch The Pro Show Thursdays 5 to 7 Eastern Time. Entertainment Explained, The Culture Curve Conquered, live with Pro and all his friends.